Hey everyone, it's Brian and Max from IGN, and as you probably know by now, last week we saw and played Red Dead Redemption 2, one of the biggest games of the year.
Yeah, and we can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, so little details about it keep popping in our head, but one of them that keeps sort of haunting me is the mud. Now, you're probably like, why are you making a video on mud? That's a mundane thing, it's stupid, it's just on the ground, it's wet dirt, who cares?
Yeah, we've seen mud in video games plenty of times. I think the first time I remember mud being pointed out to me in a demo being like a big deal was Dragon Age Inquisition, where it would get stuck on your boots. Since then, we've seen games like God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn having realistic snow, which is effectively sort of like white mud when you think about it. But in Red Dead, it actually affects the game.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I noticed that it sort of became a running theme in the demo that we played, in that it kind of gets everywhere. So the way this works is, in the world, the weather changes, obviously, and the day and night cycle changes, and it rains, and things get wet. And the way that impacts the ground is that mud will start to kick up. It will actually impact your clothes, it will get all over you and make you look gross. When it rains again, the mud will wash off. When it gets on your horse, it affects their hygiene, which will eventually affect sort of their relationship to you.
If you have an incredibly dirty horse, that horse is not going to be happy and healthy and maybe won't do necessarily what you want it to do. This is effectively the gritty reboot that Barbie Horse Adventure needs. You will be patting your horse and reassuring it and keeping it clean. So if you've got a dirty horse, you can either ride it through a river, maybe take it to a stable and groom it, or just ride around in the rain and it'll come right off you.
Yeah.
And the same applies to you. You get mud all over you and you walk through town, you're going to look like a gross man and people probably are going to react to that.
Yeah, hygiene plays an important role in this game, believe it or not, because it will probably not play an important role in our lives when we're playing hundreds of hours of this game, but your gun will get dirty, your horse will get dirty, your clothes will get dirty, and all of those things will impact the way the world interacts with you.
Now shoo, please. I'm waiting for someone interesting to turn up.
One thing we saw that really reminded me of, like, specifically you call that the snow in Horizon Zero Dawn, like the Frozen Wilds DLC. We saw a short scene where a character had kidnapped somebody and you had freed them from the back of the horse and she said thank you, and to cut her free she fell into like foot-thick mud, and the second she hit it, it just sort of like terraformed around her. Like, it realistically looked like it knew who she was by her shape and her volume and her weight and impacted into the ground. That was really weird to see because she had to there was an animation for her getting up and crawling out of it. So little details like that are very important.
And it'll be interesting to see how persistent that is. Like if you leave muddy footprints someplace and then go to the other side of the map and come back, will they still be there? Rockstar has stressed the importance of how much they want this to really be like a living, breathing world that reacts to you being in it. And leaving muddy footprints is a kind of great example of that. I'm wondering if this is going to be really helpful when hunting animals.
Right.
Like if you see, tracks going off in one direction, and it's not like a very clearly like highlighted game mechanic, but like just looking at signs in the world, will that lead you to some prey to hunt?
So who knows, that's just one of the many details we will be picking apart in our minds and hopefully on our TVs very soon when we're playing Red Dead Redemption 2 this fall. For all things Red Dead, you're already in the right place, IGN.